Morning everyone, today we are making VE Day muffins. This is the American muffins recipe that we do in year 8. It makes 6 muffins and we are doubling it today to make 12. So a bit of maths for you if you want to make more than 6. You're going to need the following ingredients: flour, eggs, caster sugar, milk, baking powder, butter, muffin cases, and then you don't have to add blueberries and strawberries like we are. You can add any type of flavour you fancy, and it's all about experimenting. And the equipment you might need is a mixing bowl, a sieve, a muffin tray, a pair of scales, a spoon to mix the mixture with, a teaspoon, a tablespoon. I always find a spatula useful, and a measuring jug for the milk. You're also going to need a microwavable dish to melt the butter. So preheat your oven to 200 degrees, put an apron on and wash your hands. So when making any cakes, it's really important that we line the trays first. So always put your cake cases in the tray before you start making the mixture. If you're making a bigger cake, you'd do this as well. So we're going to start by putting the self-raising flour, the baking powder and the caster sugar all in the bowl. So I've measured out my self-raising flour and I'm going to sieve it in to give it lots of aeration. Flour to give it lots of aeration, you want big muffins. So once you've sieved the flour, add the sugar and the baking powder. Now with baking powder, you always use a level teaspoon, never one that looks like a white mountain. So always get your finger and level out your teaspoon of baking powder, and in it goes. So to these dry ingredients, you're going to add the melted butter. Now be careful because it's very hot. So what we're going to do is stir this in really gently so that we're not knocking out the air that we've included in the flour by sieving it. So we're going to stir this really gently, please. Fabulous. Make sure the flour and butter is really well mixed. We don't want big blobs of butter in the mixture. So stir it gently. So as my mini chef stirs the mixture, I'm going to measure out the milk. Now, when you're measuring out milk, always remember, or any liquid, always remember to keep the measuring jug on a flat surface and get eye level, otherwise you'll end up doing this and we don't want the wrong measurement. So, yeah, I've got the right amount here. And in this jug now, after we have measured the liquid, we're going to crack in the eggs into this jug. Now remember, I have doubled this recipe. Oh, fabulous. So with a fork, whisk up the eggs and the milk together. So eggy milk.
Ew.
Now obviously this is going to be the binding ingredients, so your mixture will look really dry until this is added. What we're going to do is gently put the wet mixture into the dry mixture. Okay. Bit at a time, and you're going to stir that in, Phoebes.
Okay.
So we're adding frozen blueberries for the fruit, and we're going to add a fresh red strawberry on top to give it the Union Jack colours. So in the frozen blueberries go. Watch the colour change now, Phoebes. You're going to love it. What colour's it starting to turn?
And purple.
Oh, look at that. Look at that colour.
Yeah, like...
So when you're putting them in the muffin cases, make sure that each one has an equal amount of mixture. Use your clean index finger and a spoon, and metal spoons are better for this, to spoon the mixture equally into each case. Now remember that the demonstration I've got here has made 12. You'll have to do your own maths to double the recipe we've given you. When you get to the last bit, this is where you can use a spatula to really wipe around the bowl and get all the mixture into the cases. Now these cases should be filled quite full because we want the muffins to have that big mushroom top like they do in school. Although this isn't the recipe that school uses in the canteen. Okay, I have had to use a second tray. I think that's because we added so many blueberries, but it's all about using your own judgment. So these are going to take about 10 to 15 minutes in the oven. As they're baking, you can wash up like you would do in your cookery lesson at school. So you know when a cake is ready when you can smell them. They look a good colour. I think mine are slightly overdone in that regard. But then we need to make sure that we make sure they're baked on the inside. So we're going to put a clean knife in to the biggest one.
Which one is this, the biggest?
I think so, Phoebes. Watch. If the knife is clean, then it's baked on the inside as well. Now, if you do have fruit in the muffins, you do have to make a judgment whether it's cake mix or fruit juice.
It's dirty.
But that's fruit juice, so I think they're done.
Can I try one?
So you tend to find that if you pull a muffin straight out of the oven to eat, it doesn't come away from the case like this one. So always make sure you let your muffins cool down before you try them and before you decorate them. And there you go, some VE Day muffins. If you do manage to make some muffins at home, do remember to take some photos and send them in. We love to see your baking, and it's really, really fun to get someone from your household to taste your bakes and give you a full sensory evaluation. Happy baking!